Hi, my name is Chloe Logan, and this is my presentation over ADHD. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And so, what is ADHD? ADHD is a chronic condition that affects millions of children and often carries into adulthood. Um, the three primary characteristics of ADHD are impulsivity, hyperactivity, and inattention. So, how many students with ADHD are being served currently in the US? According to the book, I found that it was 7% of students, and I'm guessing this is ages 4 to 17. And I found through several research sources on the internet that there are 11% of students ages 4 through 17, and that is from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And so maybe there was just a current update from the book till now. I don't know, but there is a rise in ADHD. Down to the left here, you can see um, what states have more people with ADHD and where it's less. And looks like the West Coast has the less population of students with ADHD. So, like I was saying, the numbers of children with ADHD have increased in the recent years. And there was a study done in 1997, and this showed that there was a clear upward slope. So, FDA approved ADHD meds started to increase, and the number of children with ADHD every year increased from 3 to 5%. And now there's about 6.4 million kiddos with ADHD, which is kind of crazy. And reported reasons. So I looked at some reported reasons for negative reasons and positive reasons. So some of the reasons were just that the criteria has changed over time to determine what ADHD is and whether a child has it or not. Teenagers are able to get the medication way too easily nowadays, and they are just saying or describing symptoms of ADHD just to get the medication. And whether that's Adderall or other drugs that come with that, they use it for themselves or they sell it to their peers. And that has definitely been one of the more negative causes of increase. Another positive one would be just the awareness is rising, awareness of ADHD, which I think is really good because it's good to get it out there and so we know how to treat and help these kids. So what are some specific behaviors of a student with ADHD? There are quite many. Some would be difficulty paying attention, which could be because they are disturbed by their own thoughts. Difficulty listening. Children with ADHD often interrupt people or finish other people's sentences, which also can cause difficulty creating friendships. And they actually are 10 times as likely to have problems making these relationships with friends because of their ADHD. Emotional terminal, they have a hard time keeping their emotions in check. They have outbursts at inappropriate times. They need to really work on anger management a lot of the times. They tend to fidget a lot, and whether that's just with anything in their hands, or they often can't sit still in their chair, or they squirm around. They're just very hyperactive. And so unfinished tasks, there's a lot of that because students with or children, people, anyone with ADHD often have lots of interest in doing things, but they just tend to have problems finishing them. A lot of careless mistakes are seen just because they have difficulty following the instructions that require planning. They often forget and so on. So, the second question, in what ways does it make it harder to participate in school? So, some ways that it makes it harder for students with ADHD to participate in school would be of course, difficulty of learning, and this comes with the difficulty of paying attention to what students are saying, to class, teacher, lectures, whatnot, and it's harder for them to stay focused. Impairment of internal speech and finishing people's sentences. I thought that was one of those ones that not many people think about, but definitely impairment of internal speech is very important for the communication process, and that can definitely make an impact in relationships or with participation in class. Um, excuse me. They tend to be poor note takers just because of the short term memory that some of the ADHD students do show. Poor note takers, test takers, and they just take longer. So it's definitely good to allow them more time, which we'll talk about later. Like I said before, they do have trouble fitting in and making friends and the trouble focusing. Their social skills are below average. So those characteristics that I just went over are not seen in all students with ADHD because all students with ADHD do not demonstrate the same characteristics. Many think that all children with ADHD are hyperactive, but some are inattentive and not overly active and may appear quite spacey. Some kids with ADHD can pay attention to certain things that other kids with ADHD cannot. So pretty much it all just depends what the child is personally struggling with. One day could be different than another, or this child could be different than the other child. So definitely it's good to know all of the many characteristics that can be involved with ADHD in children. So according to IDEA, ADHD is under the category of other health impairments, and that is how they are defined. Effective class-wide interventions. Excuse me again. So there's definitely a lot of interventions that work for different students all over the world. There's different things that teachers try, but I believe it depends on what the child is struggling with, what ADHD intervention could help, or what ideas could help. So some effective class-wide interventions for inattentive students could be to seat them in a quiet area so they're not distracted, so they're able to focus, and to sit them near a student who is a good role model and displays good behavior. For a ADHD student with impulsive, not necessarily disorder, but behavior, just ignore the mildly inappropriate behavior, whether that's annoying noises, movements, whatnot. So that's not really worth getting all discipline. Don't discipline them for that. But definitely reward them for correct behavior because they take that more, they take the positive instead of the negative. Definitely better when they're trying to change their actions and behaviors. For kids who have excessive motor activity, so hyperactivity, allow the child to stand while working, have them run errands to the office, have them take papers to other teachers, just let them move around, do activities where they can move around, definitely, because these children have these opportunities. I guess I could see children with ADHD going crazy when they get these opportunities, especially if it's in a social environment where it's a class participation. So definitely watch and see, um, make sure that hyperactivity stays under control. But definitely the standing while doing work or the errands I support a lot. Mood characteristics with children with ADHD. Help them learn anger control strategies. So definitely if this is taking time um, after lunch one-on-one to talk about things that maybe happened at recess and maybe if they were angry or not and maybe how they could change their behaviors next time to um, act better, to display appropriate behavior, um, and also just encourage them and speak gently because that's definitely what they need. Students with ADHD who have academic challenges, like I have mentioned, allow them more time to complete assignments and more time to read. It's often hard for them to get those done in the short amount of time, and it is definitely appropriate to give them more time, I believe. Students that have problems organizing. So maybe ask them and teach them how to use things like planners and agendas. Definitely think about, depending on the age, providing weekly reports. Either if they're older, weekly reports towards the child, things they can do different, things that they did really well. That's an important aspect of the weekly report. Or if the child's younger, send a report home to the parent. I would do it actually at the beginning of the week so the parent knows what the child should be doing and they can kind of guide them along those lines. Another intervention for ADHD children with socialization challenges could be praising appropriate behavior, whether that's just being kind or thinking about someone else other than themselves, or or allowing someone to talk and not interrupting their thoughts. Definitely praise the appropriate behavior that is seen so they continue to do that. Provide small group studies, and this just helps them interact with other students and maybe make connections. Provide cooperative learning and social skill opportunities. So just like that, the small groups and whatnot. But I did have the opportunity and took the opportunity kind of because I needed more information to read several articles over ADHD, and I found them quite interesting and helpful. And so these 5 sources are the 5 articles that I read and got my information from, especially probably 3 or 4 out of 5 of these is where I saw that the number of students with ADHD is 11%, which is 6.4 million. So yeah, that is my presentation over ADHD.